G'day. So I've had a few requests to talk about a few of my vehicles. I talked about the 32 Ford in the last episode. These are a couple of my bikes. This shovelhead I've owned since I was 18 years old. It was near new when I bought it. It had been purchased in America and shipped out here by a guy, and I bought it off him. So it's been through a lot of carnations in its days. So I bought it back in '78. It made, after I finished one, it made the cover of Ozbike magazine and the centerfold. That was in February 1986. Boy, that's a little while ago. So I basically always run ape hangers on this bike. It used to have a hydraulic front end. I fitted a Springer front end, so off went the original front end. It originally had a Super Glide tank, then I went to Fat Bob tanks, and then I handmade this tank on the Pullmax machine, and it sits right down over the motor. Gives a nice old school effect. I'd go flames and scallops in the paint job, and a nice girl on the tank. Made the rear fender as well on the Pullmax, beaded it, shaped it. So the engine has had 3 rebuilds in its day. It's done a lot of miles. On its last rebuild, I cut the rocker boxes in half. It was sad to cut such an old motor up, but I wanted something different. Run these corkscrew oil lines to feed the top end now. These are cut completely in half. I've always run the magneto. Made another set of controls up. I like center controls because on rigids you can stand up on them if you see some bumps coming. Makes it a lot more comfortable. The frame, I went to a rigid frame just for clean looks. I figured when I was, I don't know, 24 at the time, I had a lot of years of riding rigids, but unfortunately I'm still riding rigids. Haven't learnt my lesson. Creature comforts, I fitted an electric start to it just recently. It was always kick start, and that was a bit of a challenge with the magneto sometimes. It used to run a spun aluminium oil tank, but I made this oil tank to cater for the electric start battery. It's a pretty large capacity. The rear brake drum. The rear brake is a hydraulic brake drum, and I've made fins for it to make it look like the old Buick style brake drums they run on the hot rods, like they're similar to the one I've got on my 32. I think it's a nice effect, those fins on there. And these bikes are no show bikes. They're ridden. They're a little bit rusty, a little bit dirty, paintwork's chipped, but I figure if you're going to ride them every day, they're going to cop that anyhow, so that's why they look a little tired. So after this bike, I built a lot in between that I bought and sold. A few of the other ones are featured on magazine covers as well. I built this other bike I've still got at the moment is a knucklehead. It runs an extended late model Harley Springer front end. And the gas tank is actually 2 Fat Bob tanks welded together, so it holds a lot of fuel. It was handy because I rode this bike right around Australia in about 10 years ago. Never let me down. I think the only thing that happened was I lost my license plate and the gear knob off my hand shift. Now a lot of people call these hand shifts suicide shifts, but to set the record straight, it's a jockey shift, suicide clutch. The oil tank I made on the Pullmax as a chrome ball, and the primary cover looks like aluminium, but it's actually fiberglass. I like the look of the fiberglass. I like the look of the finned primary covers, so I made this one out of fiberglass. It's a alloy base with fiberglass fins. And strangely enough, this Harley, genuine Harley Derby cover lined up with the fins that I made. I put a belt drive on it with a brake on the pulley. Works well, had hardly any trouble with it, so a lot of miles this bike. The frame has got a oil feed built into it, so the oil goes up around the frame then back down to the other side, so this acts as an oil cooler. On hot days you can put your hand on that tube and feel how warm the oil is. Another funny story about this bike, we were coming back from Melbourne once and I was a big fan of not running a strengthening bracket here, so the old frame went straight up and straight down. So I had it like that for about 7 years, and I was overtaking a truck down near Dubbo, and well, basically the front end snapped off. The frame snapped through here and here. I skidded down the road, front end went one way, motorcycle went the other. So we took it up to Andy Fireball's place and we rebuilt the frame. The frame is actually a stock rake with an extended springer. There's no rake in this frame. That's the stock rake, been moved up 4 inches, and we put 4 inches in the forks. I've got center controls again, because like I said, you see a bump coming, you can stand up on them. Tracy made the seat 20 something years ago, and it's starting to fail now, so that'll be getting a rework soon, but 20 years, genuine leather. I might have to hang that on the wall as a bit of a trophy for the miles I've done this bike. I built this in the early 2000s, and in 2007 they ran it in Ozbike magazine again. This was the first paint job I had on it. This is when the frame snapped. Then I went to white. I don't know why I ended up with white with a lot of bikes, but made on the cover too. Also, the shovel's going to get a new carb. This is a very old S&S carb that I managed to score off my good friend Ollie, a bike builder, builds some awesome bikes. I managed to score this off him, so I'm going to put this on the shovel. I actually like these carbs so much, I borrowed one. I was trying to find one, I couldn't find one. So I borrowed it off Harry and took it to Victor Bray, and he scanned it and printed it out on his 3D printer. And so I was telling Ollie about it. Ollie said, I've got one of those carbs, and so here it is. So we're going to fit that next. I think it'll look real cool on there. I was going to get my good friend Neil Merchant down in Forbes to engrave it. I just haven't got it to him yet. I think I'll get it on the bike running, and then I'll pull it off and send it to him, and he can do a nice job engraving it. Does some awesome engraving on his bikes. You should check him out at Unique Cycles in Forbes, New South Wales. Another bike I've got in the shed is this trike sidecar monstrosity, I suppose. I built. I built a car and it had 4 of these bubbles on it. So there was an accident with Tracy involved where she ran over one of the bubbles. So I had to get 2 more made. So I only used one of the bubbles on the car. So I had this spare bubble laying around. So I thought I might just build a bike to match the car. So the paintwork on it is basically the same as the car. Gold, purple pinstriping, gold pinstriping, the bubble. A lot of gold accents on the engine. This is all steel, this body. And I made the gas tank too. The gas tank I kept very small, and I was going to run an auxiliary down into the sidecar, but I haven't got round to doing that many miles on it yet. Engines had the rocker boxes split again. It's actually a panhead engine with shovel heads that have been cut and the corkscrew oil lines added. I just wanted to make it look a lot older than a pan head. Carbs are downdraft Weber. Again, it's got a foot clutch, jockey shift, and the front end is another late model Springer that I've extended 12 inches. So the tail light is a Ford Galaxy back with a Cadillac bullet in the center. Now the back of the bike I built, following it looks like a trike because it's symmetrical. Same two back wheels, but from the front it looks like a sidecar. And all three bikes are fun to ride, you know, like they've all got foot clutches, they've all got jockey shifts, and they've all got Springer front ends. I must love Springer front ends. So the trike, sidecar, bubble bike, whatever you like to call it, the idea came to me because I built a car that had the bubble tops. Big Daddy Ed Roth has always been inspiring to me, and he built a lot of crazy stuff in his time. It inspired the trike, but it also inspired the car. So if you're liking this video, I might do another one on all the cars. We've got a few cars in the shed that I can show you, but I've had a few requests about my bikes, and I hope you like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we're bringing back heaps more. I think terraplane wise, we're coming up to paintwork soon, and that's going to be a fun project. We'll try and get you in the booth while we're laying all the different colours down. Okay, we'll see you next time.